Fishing on the ocean can be thrilling, but it is also pretty dangerous. Being out at sea can play tricks on the mind. The weather is unpredictable, the water comes with huge risks, and you never know what kind of predators just might be lurking out on the water. You might catch a few fish, or you might end up at the bottom of the ocean as fish food. The worst part about all this? Most of the time, there's no way of knowing which one will happen. My name is Brianne, and I'm the host and creator of Among the Dirt and Trees, a show where we explore true crime cases that occur out in nature. In today's episode, we're going to discuss the 1979 disappearance of Debra Lee Vowell, Dennis Vowell, and a man named Gary Newton. These three went out on their fishing boat and disappeared without a trace. It was January 24th, 1979, on the day that Debra, Dennis, and Gary went missing. Debra and Dennis were a married pair, a happy couple with a 41-foot fishing boat called the Armistice. Joining them was Gary, a friend of theirs. There was nothing really special about this trip, no magical plans or focus on some kind of new adventure. There was nothing that made this trip any more dangerous than usual. At least as far as anyone knew. The sea is always dangerous, but this was meant to be a casual trip out on the water. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. At first, no one knew that anything was wrong. No one had any reason to believe that something was wrong, until Debra never made contact. Unable to locate her, her family filed a missing persons report, hoping to get police attention on the matter. And it worked. Kind of. The Coast Guard was pulled in to conduct an extensive search. As far as anyone could tell, the three of them never came back in the boat. 3 people and one 41-foot boat seemed to vanish into thin air. Or sink below the waves. The Coast Guard searched the water from California to Mexico, looking for any sign of the boat, even just pieces. Despite their efforts, no real evidence was found at all. No people, no boat, no signs of life or a struggle. For all anyone knew, the boat sank and was already resting on the bottom of the sea. There was one suspected sighting of them, but it was never confirmed. After they went missing, 3 bodies were found in a kelp bed. They were seen from overhead. The Navy sent in divers to check it out, but due to a strong current, they were unable to recover the bodies. They just disappeared. Years passed. Debra's grandfather, a local sheriff, was the only one with any kind of clue, but a lot of people don't put too much stock in it. A couple of years after they went missing, he received a call in the middle of the night from someone claiming to be Debra. The person didn't announce themselves or say much of anything. Debra's grandfather asked who it was, and that was when the person on the phone shouted at him, claiming to be Debra and saying that she was trying to get to California. Before he could reply, the person hung up. As we all know, it is very common for people to torment the relatives of people who go missing. But that is what makes this aspect of the case so devastating. Debra's grandfather fully believed that it was Debra on the phone. He said it sounded like her voice. Personally, I hope that he was right and that it wasn't just some terrible person playing on his emotions, but the person never called back. They just hung up, and that was the last official development with the case. Even though no real evidence came out about this case in particular, police actually do have a pretty solid theory regarding what happened. See, at the point in time when they went missing, they weren't the only ones. Police were monitoring situations just like this and believed that a drug ring was involved. Debra, Dennis, and Gary were not the only people or on the only boat that went missing. It seemed likely that these criminals were snatching up the boats to use as a part of their smuggling efforts, and as for what happened to the people, well, the water is a very dangerous place. With that being said, the people of the internet have their own theory. Online, we all know that rumors are known to spiral, especially around disappearances. Everybody wants to write their own ending to each story. If you go missing, you should probably expect any manner of stories to circulate about you. From outright scandals to ghosts, everyone has an opinion. One Reddit user was kind enough to share some interesting information, assuming it's all true. Apparently, Debra was not just some random woman. She was actually the daughter of Dave Powers, a huge Hollywood director. And that's not all. Dennis only partially owned the boat that they were on that day. He was actually sharing it with a man named Morris Skinner. Skinner was a talented surgeon, but he also kept questionable company. His business partner was a man named Luis Alvarez, and Alvarez was not a good guy. He was linked to all kinds of crimes, including fraud, smuggling, and kidnapping. Is it possible that this man had something to do with their disappearances? We can't confirm it, but it is certainly interesting. We don't know if these three were kidnapped by drug dealers, killed for insurance money, or just ran into a spot of bad luck out on the water. We don't know where they are, and we don't know what happened to them. The only thing that any of us really know is that the sea is a dangerous place, and any time you leave the shore behind, you have to be prepared for anything. Crashing waves, dangerous sea creatures, and the kind of people who use the water as a place to skirt the law are always going to be a risk. Every time you head out into nature, it's always a good idea to assume that everything is trying to kill you. So, if you would like to discuss the shocking costs associated with owning a fishing boat, ways to keep in contact with the shore while you're out at sea, or reasons why impersonating a missing person should be a crime with serious repercussions, feel free to contact me on Twitter or Instagram using the tag @datpod. Thanks, guys.